Hello, fellowship listeners. Adam Hawk here for my friends at Howie's Market, a proud sponsor of this very podcast. Howie's Market is a family-owned and operated specialty grocery store located in the San Gabriel Valley. Howie's Market offers the finest wine, spirits, craft beer, freshest produce, full-service deli, old school butchers offering a wide selection of the best meats. And they were voted, to no one's surprise, the best butcher by Los Angeles Magazine. They barbecue every weekend, rain or shine. They offer whole tri-tip sandwiches, half chickens, a variety of sausages, and the best all-beef hot dogs. I love this place. I love the owners. I love the staff. I love the aesthetics. And I love making time to get up to Howie's Market. Howie's Market is at 6580 North San Gabriel Boulevard in San Gabriel, California. If you are nowhere near the joint and you know you're not going to make it, do us a solid. Give them a follow on Instagram. Show them that their support on this podcast is working. We appreciate it, and we'll see you at Howie's. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the penultimate iPod broadcast episode of The Fellowship. My name is Adam Hawk. He is Ryan Engle. And before we go any further, I must ask you, Ryan Engle, do you know what the word penultimate means?
No.
Would you like to guess?
No.
All righty. Well, here we are, folks, less than 48 hours away from Christmas, and judging by the freeways on my way down to Nation Golf headquarters today, we might be the only two guys working. And let me tell you, we have a lot to do because no one has a penchant for piling up projects and to-dos quite like these guys. Off the top of my head, we need to record 2 podcasts today.
Utah, give me 2.
Utah, give me 2.
Which may or may not happen.
We need to rebuild our office and showroom and warehouse from Hurricane Swankmas, which blew through here Friday night and ravaged our home base. I just found out that Ryan Engle came in over the weekend to do some pre-cleanup. It was that atrocious. We'll get to that in just a moment. And we need to fulfill all the trivia prizes, not just from the Merry Swankmas show, but going back to the Black Friday show. Apologies, we are lagging. But again, folks, as my dad likes to say, I'm only one man.
Only 2 men.
And as we like to say here, we are only 2 men. Cut us a break. And we need to answer all the customer service inquiries and pack all the outstanding orders before we fold up shop for 2024. And that is just our Nation Golf responsibilities. I have a 64-page magazine to edit and get to a professional proofer by early afternoon today. And Ryan, aren't you running a trailer out to the desert later?
Got to bring Phyllis out and Katie Kai's home. Turn and burn, loop-de-loop, strap it on, wheel it off, wheel her on again, strap it down, and head on back.
You've taken leaps and bounds as a broadcaster this year. However, one thing you failed to do is to let listeners who might not know into super inside things that you say. You just said you had to take Phyllis out to the desert. What does that mean?
If you're following along on this journey with me and this idiot across from me, and you don't know who Phyllis is, I encourage you to go back and listen to our full catalog of episodes. Start with episode 1 and make your way to whatever episode this is. Phyllis is my 1969 Gran Cushman GC400 Golfster. It's a golf cart, folks. It's a golf cart that's so ravishing and lavish and just quite frankly sexy that even one of the worst golf brands of all time had to copy it. Bad Birdie.
I do want to say that if you go into the back catalog to listen to our episodes, start around episode 29. That's when we started figuring out how to do this and doing it well.
Really?
No one needs to start at episode 1. Now, despite the fact that we have a lot to do, the good news is, for me at least, somehow, some way, I have finished all of my Christmas shopping. Are you done with yours?
Well, yes.
Sounds like a no.
Well, only because I would consider today's event somewhat part of it. So me going out there and bringing back her cart. It's part of what I've gotten her. So in all fairness, technically I'm done, but this is still part of the job. So I'm doing it as soon as we're done doing this.
Okay, this is fantastic. You gave your wife a 4-seater golf cart for your anniversary.
Correct.
Which was in May of this year.
Yes.
And now you're going to give the exact same gift to her for Christmas?
No. So
you're re-gifting your own gift?
I'll try to do this as fast as I can. I got her a sight unseen Town & Country. The Town & Country is a rare version of the Cushman Golfster. It's the 4-seater version, and they're hard to come by, especially in good condition. It's the same model that President Nixon had, the Town & Fairway. They didn't make many of them. Always wanted one, and always wanted it to kind of match the same theme of the his and hers style that my grandma and grandpa had of the model I have. Found one sight unseen and took a risk on it, got it over. Definitely was a project cart, needs a lot of work, but the bones are there, and we were still excited because who cares? It'll be fun to work on. For me, it's like I saved it. I saved this from the scrapyard, so to speak. We're going to give it new life, and it turned out to be a bigger project than I thought, and it was sitting out there all summer on the back burner, coming through this fall, and since Katie Kai doesn't listen to our podcast anymore, I'm just going to reveal the Christmas present here.
Sure.
I stumbled across an opportunity on a absolutely mint Town & Country. So I found one that's 10 times better, way further along, is going to need way less work. It's champagne sand. All the chrome is good. The seats are in there. It's way more functioning and way more polished. I had my good friends over at J.R. Thomas Golf Carts in Palm Desert. If you need golf carts, golf cart service, anything, and you don't want to get ripped off by some big box dealer or some corporate entity, you go to J.R. Thomas Golf Carts and you hold your middle finger out to the guys across the street because, quite frankly, folks, there's only one place to shop, and that's J.R. Thomas Golf Carts, Palm Desert, California.
I love that you started this by saying, I'll do this as quick as I can, and you wedged a unpaid commercial into it.
I kind of owe JR for what I pulled off here. So anyways, I've got a new gal that she doesn't know about.
Wow.
That I'm going to bring out, and she thinks I'm just bringing hers out because I said, JR told me that I got to get this off the lot. It's now or never, and so I pitched her some little white lie to get out there today to do it. So I'm going to bring home her new show pony, pull it up hopefully this evening, get her and the kid in it, do a little neighborhood hot lap, and Merry Christmas. And then part of her Christmas present, too, they discontinued the white wall tires for the old size golf carts, and I found a set online, and so I bought a set of white walls for it. So on Christmas Day, she's going to open this big fucking ugly box that's like protruding out in the sides because I couldn't find a box that fits the tire. And she's going to be like, what the fuck is this? And it's white walls. And I'll be like, white wall me, bitch. That's what you say at the barbershop when you want it high and tight, by the way. White wall me, bitch.
Oh, when I go to Supercuts, I ask for them not to do that.
Yeah. I see how they lined you up and didn't shave your neck in the back, though.
Sounds like a great gift that you got for your wife.
Yeah. Projects are great, but projects that are a little further along are even better.
Sure. Especially since that first Town & Country you got her broke down on night 1 on hole number 3 of the Indian Wells Classic course during a cove run as the sprinklers rained down on all of us.
But boy, wasn't that a good story.
We'll never forget it.
We'll never forget it.
So I mentioned I finished my Christmas shopping after church yesterday, and after watching the PNC Championship, I made a feverish 6-stop Christmas shopping run, and one of those stops was the Brea Mall. When was the last time you went to the mall within 72 hours of Christmas?
We went to the mall this weekend.
Was it a madhouse?
The shops at Mission Viejo. I always call it Mission Viejo Mall because that's what it was when I grew up, but then they tried to make it upscale, so they call it the shops at the Mission Viejo Mall.
Mission Potato.
Yeah. No, it wasn't too bad. Katie Kai needed her phone fixed because she broke it during the Merry Swankmas party. While it was getting fixed, we had a little lunch at Cheesecake Factory. Shout out to Cheesecake Factory. Options for days.
Years.
Yeah. They don't have a menu. They have a Bible.
I went to the Brea Mall. It was a madhouse. It felt like I was in a movie. It took me 20 minutes to find parking half a mile away, and I'm not exaggerating on the time or the distance there. There were cars everywhere, people shoulder to shoulder inside the mall, a line to see Santa going the length of an entire department store, kiosk workers actually getting business. It was chaos.
I bet. I mean, Brea Mall, this time of year with this kind of weather, I mean, you're talking bonfire trash cans in the parking lot, stuff like that, you know.
You're an idiot. As my wife would say, you're a stupid idiot.
Stupid idiot.
With a bunch of guys with pea coats and fingertips cut off their gloves, warming up. Ski masks on.
He's an elitist, folks. That's what he is. Don't let him fool you. He is an elitist.
Yeah, I'm the most poor elitist you'll ever meet.
That is for damn sure. I'm not going to lie. It was equal parts terrifying, equal parts exciting. Christmas time hustle and bustle is the very definition of timeless.
Will you ever go Christmas shopping before the day before?
Before the day before.
Like more ahead of time than right before?
I promise myself every year that I will.
Yeah.
And then I don't.
Yeah. I've noticed that.
Yeah. Now, while I am very outspoken about the commercial side of Christmas being as bad as the festive side is great, there's something undeniably thrilling about thousands of people making their way through an otherwise sleepy mall and turning it into last-minute ground zero for gift shopping. And like I said, it feels like you're in a movie. It feels like you're part of something bigger. It feels like you're at the concert or the event that everyone is talking about, the part of Christmas that they quite literally make movies about. And I'm glad to have procured all the gifts and to be done with that. But can we all stop for a moment and realize that Christmas, the day, clearly comes with a price tag and a barrier for entry? Think about it for a second. In order to socially participate in the morning of the 25th, you must provide gifts. And if you think that is a gross exaggeration, just play out the scenario in your mind of not having any gifts for your wife or kids or family on the morning of the 25th. How is that going to go? How are they going to feel? How are you going to feel? We need to admit that gifts are required to participate, and participation is not optional. Again, think about the misery and awkwardness and dread of not participating. So what do? We participate, of course, and that's fine. I mean, I'm very much against being held hostage in a free country by the corporate world that commandeered the birthday of our Lord and Savior for their bottom line, but I am in the minority, and I accept that. I just want everyone else to, at the very least, admit and understand that we are the marks in mandatory participation every year that demands we find time we might not have and spend money we might not have just to avoid being a jerk on Christmas morning. What a racket.
We've gone back to the judges, and you, my friend, are wrong.
Okay?
Okay.
It's easy for a small-minded person. It's easy for that said person to miss the whole point entirely. And it's not about corporate America's forcing me to buy this blender for my wife. It's the fact that, hey, bud, it's time to give a little, because that's what our pal Jesus was all about. And celebrating his birthday, it's all about giving. And like I butchered during our Christmas show, Arnold Palmer once famously said, to give is to receive. And that is what's really gratifying. So it's not about you having to go shopping last minute because you're an idiot.
Stupid idiot.
And that the fact that corporate America takes advantage of the situation that we all have to buy gifts, that's just the result of it. That's just what needs to be. That's what it is, bro. But what it's all about is giving. Are you going to buy yourself a gift? Because I remember one year we had a little Christmas bonus because we were doing pretty good and we both had $1,000 cash in our pocket from the till. We headed on over to South Coast Plaza. Next thing I know, I look over there and you're looking at watches, considering buying one for yourself. During the season of giving, you were like, well, I really like this watch over here. And I was like, if you buy that watch, you're going straight to hell. So, you know, I can understand your take. You're a wordsmith. I appreciate your talents, but your ideology in the field of this matter is just flat out wrong.
How about a quick recap of our Merry Swankmas show from this past Friday night?
Let's get into it.
For those that missed it, we went live from the boardroom on YouTube and did a television show that we do every year called Merry Swankmas. You can watch it now on demand or whenever it suits your schedule. But we were live on Friday night, dressed to the nines, sipping Bacta 1928, and in the company of our best friends, Thomas Wrighton and his wife Lindsay, Casey Quinn and his girlfriend Katie. Your wife, Katie Kai, was there. Nick Smith on the ones and twos. Wyatt Lish, Justin Jung, Alexis, their dog Charlie, and their brother-in-law Jay. Jordan Roadhouse Dixon, and Geoff Extreme Overstreet. Am I forgetting anybody?
No, just the fact that Jay and Wyatt remind me of Bill and Ted from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Or like Wayne's World.
Party on, Garth. Party on, Wayne.
Was that just not a hoot? Look, production value, obviously we're broke. We're trying to rip it. Adam's a pro, and he's hanging out with a bunch of boobs. But we're trying to put a good product out, have a good show. At the very least, I just hope that the takeaway from the viewers and the listeners is that we're just trying to set out the vibe and inspire people that this time of year is just all about that. We just hope that it was entertaining enough to make you realize that in this corporate setting of forced gift buying, that, you know what, it's all about giving. And part of that giving is just giving your time and your heart and your celebrations to those around you and bringing in the cheer of the new year. It's time to hit the reset button, start over, and make the mad dash to December again. I had a wonderful time. I felt the message in that room, and I just hope it went through the airwaves and they kind of felt the message to it at the end. Man, we talked about it post-show, and I haven't watched it back. I felt real proud about what we did.
I definitely felt proud, and I'm glad that you said that, because regardless of how it came across on people's laptops, phones, through their speakers or headphones, yes, there were some technical issues with who could be heard from what part of the room, but at the end of the day, as you mentioned, we're just two guys with our good friends inside a warehouse, setting up cameras, not really knowing what we're doing, and putting on a show for the sole purpose of being able to spend time with each other and with the audience in this time of year when spending time together just feels a whole lot more special. So regardless of how great the sound was, I don't really care. That stuff normally bothers me to no end, but I ended up not caring. And I got a few text messages that it was really hard to hear some people from certain spots, and I didn't even really go back and listen to the show. I heard one part at the end where I was saying something that I will say later on in this podcast right here so people can actually hear what I was saying. And despite the fact that I was speaking and there was no audio to be heard, I don't really care, because what happened in that room that night and the spirit of giving that was in the room was so much more important than the technical aspects of the show. Are you watching highlights on your phone while I talk?
I was, yeah.
Which ones?
The show, I was trying to see if I could pull up the audio of that last little bit.
It's funny, there was a moment about 12 hours before the show where I was convinced that you and I would be all alone with our cranks in our hand for 2 hours doing the most boring show ever. But then the entire world showed up, and it was fantastic.
Was I right again?
About?
That?
Sure.
Really?
Turned out to be our most watched live stream ever, despite the fact that we didn't really promote it until the day before we did the show. And before we get to our respective highlights, and this is me buying you some time to think about what your favorite highlight was from the show, I do want to run down the list of people who were in the room and just say something about them. Thomas Wrighton, for the second year in a row, completely elevated what we did by bringing his piano and providing incredible background music and singing, and then also taking wonderful pictures and capturing the evening so we can all remember it forever. Thank you to Thomas for that.
What a pianist. What a pianist. Sorry, Thomas. When you're dealing with a person like me, that's just what happens.
His wife, Lindsay, brought In-N-Out for before the show.
And champagne.
Ordered pizza for after the show.
She's too good.
She's too good.
Too good for us.
She's a vessel of joy. Great to have her around, and they wrote us some of the nicest Christmas cards you will ever read. Casey Quinn, did anyone look better on camera than that guy?
Nope. Casey Quinn, he could be the standing third guest on this very show.
He could. And I would like Casey to be a part of a lot of things we do going forward, and I want him to find his footing and his confidence, because I could have used more Casey Quinn on that show.
Oh, totally. I could tell you were butthurt the whole time. Like, come on, Casey, answer some more. You can do more than just the paid ones and this and that. It's like, okay, Adam. Okay, we know. We know, dude.
You're such an ass. You really are.
Not wrong.
His girlfriend, Katie, great to have her. Glad that she came down to the show. She brought a levity to it. She was laughing at all of our bad jokes.
I remember my wife used to laugh at my bad jokes.
Speaking of your wife, she was there. Always great to have her. Nick Smith, love being around that guy during the holidays. He's a staple of what we do. Wyatt Lish, took him one line to get comfortable. We asked him how the trip was out to Indian Wells, and I've never heard anyone put it this way, but he said, "Oh, it was medieval."
Oh, dude, it was medieval.
Oh, man. That guy
Yeah.
is a walking soundbite.
Right. I was very happy to have Jordan Roadhouse Dixon there. I thought that he showed some great range by being a goofball character in the Nation Golf universe, but then reading a very nice poem that spoke to the kind of year that he is having. And then our good friend Geoff Extreme Overstreet. Similar to Steve Taylor and Craig Dunlap, Geoff is wickedly natural and talented at just sitting down and being one of the funniest guys in the room without any training.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a great crew. What was your highlight from the evening?
I think it was a little after Jordan gave such a heartfelt poem read, and someone asked him the question. I don't know if this was on air or not. I think it was on air, but he admitted to slightly plagiarizing it. I thought that was a real big highlight for the show. I mean, like, way to just pull the curtain back, big boy. I thought that was fucking hilarious. It pays more homage to the quirky character that is the Roadhouse Dixon. Let's get to the brass tacks here. Thomas Wrighton. There's no list. There's one highlight. There's one thing to talk about. There's one thing to be thankful for. It's Thomas Wrighton on the keyboard. That was it. Just an absolute treat. And it just elevated the show. And it's one thing to dress up. It's one thing to write a great show. You had some really, really good trivia questions this year.
Thank you.
But having him add that element to it just really, really did it for me.
Yeah, glad to hear it. My 3 highlights from the show, and I totally agree with what you just said, but mine are different. Charlie, the dog.
That was pretty funny.
Justin Jung's dog and Alexis's dog that came in and barked for treats and pressed soundbite buttons was fantastic.
Yeah.
And the fact that the soundbite buttons were great just added so much humor to it. And then we all got to hold a soundbite button afterwards and use it ourselves. And thank you for mentioning the trivia. That is a highlight for me. I really do enjoy writing those trivia questions, especially when I write one that I feel has an answer that people won't expect. Like Frank Sinatra having first right of refusal to play John McClane in Die Hard.
That blew my mind.
The other trivia question I enjoyed asking was about all the Bible verses and no one knowing what they all had in common, and then it being that they were on In-N-Out packaging. Yeah. And then my final highlight would be the 9th and final giveaway at the end of the show, your brainchild of giving away the vacation or golf bag, our best item, our most expensive item, the best giveaway we've ever done, an item that, frankly, we have agreed we will never put on sale. This is never an item that you are going to find on sale. We think so highly of this, and it's such a great value for what we charge for it, that this item will never go on sale. And you came up with the great idea of, I'm going to give this away with the caveat that the person that wins it has to give it away to someone else in the chat. So it really brought the Christmas spirit into it by encouraging someone else to be first the receiver and then the giver.
Every now and then, if you're willing to listen or look within, you will be clearly reminded that there's a greater force to all this than just ourselves. What I got out of that moment that night is, in my wildly unorganized ADHD mind and my shooting from the hip style of doing everything, I came up with that initial idea, and it came to me like that. I didn't think it through. I didn't have the intelligence to foresee that that was connected to something bigger and a bigger message, and I didn't realize the magnitude of that very decision. I just shot that decision out, which leads me to believe only one thing, that I was a vessel for that moment and that decision, and that something greater than me made me deliver it. And it turned into something bigger than what I even realized what was going on. And even afterwards, I was just like, holy shit, having that fall right into the end of the show, that was a big moment for me. That felt
divine.
Yep, really did.
There you go. I do want to talk about the PNC Championship for just a moment because I found myself watching a lot of both rounds, and I found myself, without really trying, absolutely in love with the product and the tournament. So I have a confession here today, folks. I love the PNC Championship. I love the family dynamic. I love that in 2024 you can turn on the telly box and see Fred Couples, Tiger Woods, John Daly, and Lee Trevino in the same place at the same time playing golf with their kids. And I especially love that no one tries to muddy this thing up by miking up the guys and forcing cheesy banter, and announcers aren't doing walk and talk interviews with these guys trying to make them laugh.
Good point.
Consider this. We just had the super goofy match called The Showdown, which was Scotty and Rory versus Brooks and Bryson. This was billed as some heavyweight PGA Tour versus Live Showdown with the best players from each tour.
Womp, womp, womp. Brr.
No one watched it, and I mean that. Nobody watched it. Of all the matches Capital One has done, and they're up to around 10 now, this was the second lowest rated ever. And the highest rated one, Tiger versus Phil, the first time, barely did a number. No one cares. Golf is not boxing. You can't hype something with fake stakes. But I don't know if it's because I've watched golf forever, or it's because I'm the father of a golf-crazed son, or I just love watching wholesome family dynamics. This PNC tournament really does it for me, and this edition was incredible. And before we get to how it ended, shout out to Annika Sorenstam's 13-year-old son, William. This kid is so much fun to watch and so good at golf, and he is smiling all the time. And as someone,
great attitude.
Totally. And as someone who learned the game from their mom, I love watching the mother-son dynamic because it's the only one out there where it's a mom and her son.
Yep. Pretty rad.
Yeah. I also love Nelly Korda playing with her dad, Peter.
Loved that too.
And I love watching the dailies, and I really love watching Tiger surrounded by his kids, Charlie as his partner and Sam as his caddy. And Team Woods played great. They held a share of the lead after the first day, got into the final grouping with the defending champs, Bernhard and his son, Jason. They held the outright lead going into the back nine after Charlie made his first ace ever in front of his dad, sister, and a national television audience.
I got to say something about the ace real quick.
Go ahead.
I loved the way he celebrated that. We live in a world nowadays where even the nicest guy in the world, like a Tony Finau, feels like he needs to run down the fairway towards the hole and just over-celebrate things. And I get it. Everyone's going to be like, why are you such a hater? Like, let people celebrate. I get it. My opinion, the way that he was so calm and nonchalant about it, but excited, he celebrated like a gentleman. And I just absolutely loved the way the kid handled that, because that could have been such an opportunity for him to get out of his own pocket for a second. I just absolutely loved the way he handled it. I had to say that.
I love that you love it. I loved it too. And after that, the Woods and the Langers put on a show, the back nine, trading birdie after birdie all the way through the 36th and final hole. And then they went to a playoff where the Langers won with an eagle. The sixth win for the Langer family, that's the most ever. Seeing Tiger Woods smile ear to ear after the Langers won was all I needed to see to know that this guy is about the right things with this tournament. He loved being in the mix with his kids and watching Charlie clutch up and making the Langers earn it and going to a playoff and wearing red with his son. And I'm telling you, as a fan of his and a father of a daughter and a son, it's hard for me not to absolutely love seeing a dad with his daughter and his son. And I loved Tiger giving the Langers all the credit afterwards and saying how much fun it was to play with Bernie and Jason. And I really loved that the Langers finally got the TV time they deserved. How great that they went through Team Woods to win it, and because of it, they finally had their golf shots broadcast on television. Jason Langer, Bernhard's son, has won the event 4 times with his dad, and he said afterwards this was the biggest crowd he had ever played in front of, and he loved it. So I'm glad that they finally got the spotlight that they deserved. And everybody won yesterday. The Langers, the Woods, the PNC, the viewers. It was incredible. And you hear it whenever anyone is interviewed in the field. No one wants to stop coming and playing that tournament because of what it provides for them and their family. And I just love that there's something in the golf world that puts the focus on family, since these guys are away from their family so much. I love the PNC. I'm not apologizing to anyone about it. That tournament isn't trying to be anything. It's just being itself, and itself is kind of awesome.
And also, for the core lords out there,
Sure.
you don't need to physically anchor to anchor. And I want you to think about that for a second.
Here we go.
Because anchoring's obviously a no-no. And I'm glad they at least got rid of that. But for the guys who still hung on and just hover on the anchoring position to still subconsciously anchor a little bit, look, Bernhard's a great player. He's a world-class player. My question is this. How many of those trophies in his case would he still have if they never invented the long putter? I know that's a fucked up question. And it's hard to hear it. But you know what? Shout out to the guys who still lean over the ball and let their arms hang and show what kind of moxie they really have for the entirety of their career. Just hard to watch for me. I hate seeing that because, like you said, electric coming down the stretch, and then you're just like, you know, he whaps one in, his arms like tucked under his breast, and his hands just barely touching his sternum. His putter goes all the way up, and he's got some bread box on a flagpole, and you're just like, God damn it. It's just bad for the game, in my opinion. Bothers me seeing that, personally. And hate me all you want. It's my opinion. It's how I feel. And I have a right to that.
On our way out here, I do want to say what we were trying to say at the end of the Merry Swankmas show that was hard to hear for the audience. This is a wonderful, joyous time of the year. It is for me, it is for Ryan, and it is for a lot of people listening right now. But it is not for everyone. There are people grieving. There are people who have gone through substantial loss. There are chairs at the dinner table that are empty. There are people that are sick, people that are old, people that can't afford to participate, and there are people who are lonely. And I do want to say that if you are one of those people right now, we are thinking about you, and we want you to know that you are in our thoughts and prayers this holiday season. And if you are fortunate this year, practice humility, grace, and giving. There are people who are in desperate need of that, and it means a lot more than anything you can put under the tree. If you pray for these people. If you have a seat at your table, invite them to join you. If they can't come to you, go to them. This is a great time of year to give to those who need it, and we're not talking about presents. We're talking about giving yourself and for practicing humility and grace. And that is something we tried to say at the end of the show. That was hard to pick up, but we wanted to say it now on our way out of this podcast, which is our penultimate episode of the year. And between this and the next one, I will explain to Ryan what penultimate means.
Can't wait.
With that said, we hope you have a wonderful week, and believe it or not, we will talk to you
later. Soon.
And believe it or not, we will talk to you
later.
Believe it or not, we will talk to you next Monday.